things are heating up as we reach the home stretch for the year 2024, aren't they? How about I go through what I think are the top 10 new anime airing this fall season, and maybe you'll find something that might be to your liking. After all, we've got a hell of a season this time, with a roster full of exciting new anime for all kinds of fans. Let's not waste any more time and begin then, shall we? To start off, we have Let This Grieving Soul Retire. Once again, let's start our foray into this season in Fantasyland. This time, it's time to go on an adventure with the best treasure hunters around, a group that features some cute girls and the guy at the center of it all, the greatest treasure hunter of them all, Cry Andre. But is he really? Whatever the case, he wants to be nowhere close to the life of a famed treasure hunter, but it's just something fate just refuses to grant him. Just let him retire in peace, would ya? Here you go with the seasonal. He's actually skilled at something even without real talent show, and it is a pretty funny one. Seeing Cry trying to navigate his unwanted life thanks to riding his friend's coattails, all while everyone thinks he's a genius, is actually one entertaining ride. Recommended for someone who suffers from imposter syndrome, but also anyone who wants to just relax and chill with a comedic adventure for the season. And if you haven't gotten enough of the awkward fantasy underdog stories, then we've got another one for you. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. I found it apt to put these two shows next to each other on my ranking. After all, they do share some similarities. Both are fantasy stories starring a protagonist that's just lacking in the conventional sense. Whereas Cry had to deal with imposter syndrome from riding his friend's coattails, this show's protagonist Noel longs to be a hero, fighting monsters as a seeker. Unfortunately, with no combat skills, that seemed to be a far-fetched dream. All until he finds out he excels at one thing: talking. A silver tongue, one that can move armies and bend even heroes to his will, that might just prove to be the strongest ability in the world. A decently interesting twist into the whole underestimated hero story mold that we should be familiar with by now. Having the protagonist overcome adversity with his wits and creativity also makes for an entertaining watch. We're not about to be through with the fantasy anime yet, as our next entry is the do-over damsel conquers the Dragon Emperor. Inevitable death awaits Jill Savile. To some, the fiancée of the Crown Prince is a heroine who swore to protect the kingdom. However, an unfortunate act of betrayal causes her to be framed as a traitor. Just before her regretful-filled life ends, she gets transported 6 years into the past. Given a second chance at life, she resolves to not just be another cog in the machine, pushed and swayed by the cruelty of fate. The first step in that goal, immediately propose to another person, the one who just happens to be her greatest enemy in the previous timeline, all before his descent into evil. Looks like we found our successor to the good old villainess redo stories that become a bit prominent at the start of the decade. For how dark I made the story seem, this is actually a light-hearted show, all things considered. Once you get over the serious premise, what you have is a pretty appealing romance with some comedy mixed in it. Some slapstick, some interesting character dynamics and such make this an entertaining pickup for you. You Are Ms. Servant is up next. Imagine a world where a Yor Forger and Komi hybrid decides she wants to be someone's maid. Never mind having no household skills, never mind just having assassination as her expertise, never mind being an emotionless killing machine with awful communication skills. She swears she'll make this work, all to have someone she can consider family. That pretty much summarizes Yuki's plight as she offers her services to one Hitoyoshi. As expected, hilarity is ensured in this web manga adaptation. You Are Ms. Servant is my top comedy recommendation for the season that's not a sequel or a remake. Wholesome and funny, it's something anyone can enjoy. The great art direction only adds to what makes it great, a really underrated winner this fall. Next up, we're shining a spotlight on Mao 2099. So, they heard that we're all tired of the same old plot of a demon lord being reincarnated into the present. That's why it's time to take things a bit further and straight into the cyberpunk world of the year 2099. Elevated by the wonders of technology, Shinjuku in the year 2099 barely looks like the bustling metropolis that we're familiar with. And that's what the demon lord Veltol has to contend with following his 5-century hibernation. How long to this world becomes his for the taking? Mao 2099 is a fine addition to the library of Demon Lord reviving into an unfamiliar future stories. With great world building and decent production values, this could be my pick for you if you enjoy the subgenre. It's nothing that would blow you away or change your viewpoints of the genre, but it doesn't really have to be anything too special if it successfully entertains, right? And in that regard, this show succeeds.
その程度か。もっと世に本気を見せてみる。
So, you know how much I love anime, right? I mean, my entire career revolves around it. But you know what I enjoy just as much? Collecting some crazy merch from my favorite shows. I was just thinking of adding another epic figurine to my collection when our sponsor today popped up like a blessing in disguise. Let me introduce you to the Anime Merch. These guys have an insane collection of figurines, LED lamps, and light boxes. While browsing, I found an awesome figurine of Luffy for myself. Whether you're a die-hard fan of Naruto, Bleach, Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, or Chainsaw Man, they have got it all. Imagine having iconic moments from Bleach displayed in stunning shadow light boxes, or your favorite Naruto characters glowing in custom LED lamps. This isn't just merch, it's a way to bring your favorite characters to life. Their high quality figures and collectibles are designed for hardcore fans who want only the best. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, the Anime Merch is something for everyone. And guess what? Just for my viewers, there's a special offer. Use the code VINNY to get 10% off your first order. So what are you waiting for? Head over to theanimemerch.com right now and bring the world of anime straight to your home. Don't forget to check the link in the description and grab those epic deals.
動くなと言っている。メカ腕使いだ。地球応援を。
Let's resume with the sci-fi sensation Mecha Ude. Mecha Ude debuted as a one-off anime over half a decade ago. I enjoyed it for the most part, but it just felt too short for the story it's trying to tell. I can't shake off the feeling that there's gotta be more before letting thoughts of it take a backseat for the most part. Thus, I was naturally excited now that we have a full-blown series chronicling this interesting world of humans and technological alien life forms. And it didn't disappoint for the most part. Let me get this out of the way first. Mecha Ude as an anime does feel rather fast-paced. Events happen a little bit too quickly for my liking. Still, that doesn't take away from the enjoyment I have in watching a sci-fi shonen with interesting characters. The action's on point, and I quite enjoyed the characters' interactions as well as their design, and as a bonus, it was quite fun figuring out some of the best possible twists as the plot's many mysteries start to unravel. Mecha Ude is a pretty basic show, but it's still a safe choice for a non-sequel in fall as well as an exciting anime to watch for the action. Before we reach the top 3, let's take a look at Ranma Half. Anime can be called the fountain of creativity. It's where we get all sorts of wacky, crazy stuff that typically shows, especially animation, don't dare tackle. It's that kind of environment that allowed Ranma to thrive back in the 90s. I mean, a fan service-filled martial arts anime that involves a protagonist on the road to engagement while being able to involuntarily switch genders, or while throwing in a whole lot of comedy that's just so on brand for anime. It's just the wacky kind of stuff that made these Japanese cartoons stand out so much back then, and even today I'd argue. Overall, the spirit of the original still gets captured by this remake. There's been some changes here and there in terms of semantics and some scenes, but the magic and the comedy remain after all these years. If you're in any way interested in this action comedy that old timers are raving about, then be sure to give this one a try.
君が勝ったら交際してあげよう。
誰が交際を申し込んでるか。
我々の住む大地は醜い底辺として切り離されてなどなく、とうの昔からあの美しさの一員だったのかもしれない。違う。一つ。なんて。
Orb on the movements of the Earth opens my top 3 for fall 2024. Here's a show that I believe deserves some more love. Orb on the movements of the Earth provides an approach that we rarely see too much in anime these days. It's a more mature drama being geared towards the older anime fans who don't care too much about the magical powers, the fantasy worlds, or the teenage misunderstandings people tend to associate with the medium. It's rather profound, taking its audience through a historical journey back to a time when unveiling the truth conflicts with the iron grip of authorities in society. And yes, we can make the argument that it still happens to this day. The conflict was definitely more blatant and out there back then. The struggle is expertly illustrated by how the anime depicts Rafale's conflict, which makes the crux of this story. Orb on the movements of the Earth is something you don't really expect from a seasonal anime. While that doesn't do much to help it connect with the mainstream audience, this title becomes a hidden gem that may as well be the dark horse of the season.
ナイスレシーブけど返される粘る大輝一歩上がった
In second place, we have Blue Box. Teenage romance fans are simply feasting the past few seasons. Following the unprecedented success of Makine and the more expected waves from Roshide comes this more down-to-earth, earnest rom-com that's captured the hearts of anime fans worldwide. Yes, the story's something we've already seen before in a way, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this show got a whole lot of love from the anime team. The animation's superb and the chemistry between the likable leads makes this such an enjoyable watch. Throw in some sports action here and there and you've got yourself one of the best new anime the season has to offer. Blue Box may very well be the other people's pick for anime of the season, and honestly, it just barely misses the cut for me. Still, if you're looking to recommend a fall 2024 anime to a friend who prefers something a lot more conventional and can be enjoyed by anyone, not just anime fans, then Blue Box is my pick for you. To finish things off, we have Dandadan rising to the very top of the list. As early as the first few months of 2024, there's been a buzz in the air. While people looked around for the next big hit in the world of action anime, with the impending departure of some legacy series like My Hero and Jujutsu, most eyes were locked in anticipation at a certain Dandadan. There hasn't been anything quite like it before, and the way it goes full throttle with the action and the chaotic mishmash of elements we've all come to love really had people talking. It's a no-holds-barred supernatural action series that just doesn't seem to run out of momentum, and it's translated beautifully into anime. It's a wild ride that some can call nonsensical, but I think that's exactly the point, isn't it? There's a sort of beauty in the chaos, and the show doesn't wait too long before strapping you into this high-speed ride. One episode in, and you already know what you're in for, all while having your eyes feast on some examples of animation masterclass. Dandadan does deserve the hype, especially if you're in its target demographic.
本気出すぜ
ヘリコプターみたいじゃん
If you got some more time to kill, why don't you head on over to the channel and browse the many videos that we have to offer. From seasonal previews to videos that will surely give you a wave of nostalgia for some of action anime's top moments, only here on ViniTube. With that, I thank you for watching. Hope to see you again in the next video. Cheers.